So today I want to show you how to use GitHub and specifically GitHub Pages to make a web page to put up online. This is kind of aimed at someone who's never done this before. So your first web page. And so whenever you're signing up for GitHub, you're going to want to, of course, type your email address in here. Okay, I already have my account, so maybe let me just put something bogus in here for now. And this will give you access to basically a developer's playground. This is like, where everyone comes together to share code and so forth. So, you have to make some kind of a password for it. And whenever you go through it, this part here is probably going to be the more important part for you. What you're going to want is that on this part, when you enter a username, you're going to want to be very careful how you choose this name, because this will become the website that you will use in the future. So, for example, here I have my user handle Sounny, and later on, my web pages will be called sounny.github.io. So you want to choose something here that's easy, simple, maybe with lowercase letters only, and not too complicated. Now, this is also an opportunity if you want to stay kind of anonymous. You could put like a hacker name or game handle or whatever you want to put there in order so people don't know who you are. So if you wanted, you can just put something in there like, Texas guy, something like that. And that way, that's why I'm from Texas guy. And then, that would be your username afterwards. So your web page will be texasguy.github.io. So be careful how you choose this. After you choose this, it's going to send you over to verify your email and set up the account. Now, if you're under the age of 13, you might need to have a parent make the account and share the account with you. If you're over the age of 13, then you're more than fine to use GitHub. Once you sign up for GitHub, you'll have something similar to this where you have a profile where you can see here my user handle, Sounny. And here we have what we call repositories. Repositories are places that we keep our code. So we share code with other people. GitHub is kind of like the place where open source programming happens. So you could think about it this way. I set up a repository for code, okay? I put some code up there. Then someone else comes and looks at my code. Maybe they get inspired by it. They go make their own modifications to it. But what's nice about this is that by working through GitHub, I can see what their modifications are and I can incorporate them back on mine and so forth. One thing that's nice, kind of cool for working with GitHub is that it also has a feature called GitHub Pages, which lets you do web hosting. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, is how can I host a website. So what I want you to do first is start by creating a new repository by clicking on the plus button and saying new repository. This is just a home place for your code to go. When I go here to repository, it's going to have my user handle, and then I'm going to put a repository name. I'm going to put hello as my repository name, okay? Because the first web page I'm going to make is going to have to do something with saying hi to the world. So I put hello, and I'm going to leave all this other stuff just blank, whatever, defaults. Later on, we can look at this in more detail on what all these things actually mean. But for now, just having this set to public and defaults is all fine. So I hit create repository, and now I have a place on the internet where I can put code. Right now there's nothing in it, but it's all set up. Now there's a whole lot of different ways to get to your GitHub repository through interactive development environments, through terminal command lines, through GitHub desktop applications, through other versioning control applications out there, through online IDEs that connect to GitHub. We're not going to mess with all that right now. What we're going to do is that we're just going to use GitHub itself to do our development. So I'm going to create a new file. Okay, so I'm going to click create new file. And the first file that I want to make is called index.html. Now, it's important to know that index.html is basically the most popular web page on the internet. Every website you've ever gone to, you're actually going to its index.html. So when you type google.com, you're not going to google.com. You're going to google.com/index.html. Anytime you type a folder name on the internet, the web browser automatically looks for index.html. So by adding index.html file, you're making it to where hello will become our web page, okay, our website. So I'm gonna make the index HTML. Now, how much do I know about HTML coding? Right now, I'm not expecting you to know so much about HTML coding, but you still want to have something there to make a web page, right? This is where we're going to use some large language models to take advantage of the fact that it knows how to code, and we're going to describe the web page that we want, and then we're going to just copy and paste the code here so we can set it up. So if you go to meta.ai, this is a large language model that's based off of Llama. This is made by the people who make Facebook, Instagram, so forth. They've also been developing a open source, well, open in quotes, but pretty open LLM called Llama. And so you can ask here Llama, or ask Meta through its Llama model to create your web page. So I'm going to put here, please make me a web page for my first website that says hello world. Okay, maybe I'm going to make it a little bit fancier than just it saying hello world. Okay, so maybe I can describe some stuff I like about it. It would be great if it had a modern look, gray background, had the hello world text in the center of the page, with a sans serif font. I don't know. Font in white. White. Okay, and okay, I think that's sounds like a pretty cool looking page. Maybe I'll put here and it's large. The font is large. Okay, I think I like that, huh? Maybe it could be at a full page width, or something. Okay, well, let's just try this, see what happens. Okay, you can just keep on talking to Llama and just keep on having it come up with newer and newer sites and see how that all works out for you. Now, this is going through and creating the web page for us, and it's making two different documents. One is the HTML document, and one is the style sheet, the CSS. Okay, so we'll end up having to create two different web pages in in our GitHub repository. Okay, so I'm going to go here and first copy this HTML document. So I just hit copy contents, and I go over here and I'm going to paste this into my GitHub. Now I'm going to go ahead and commit the changes. Commit the changes is basically saying save. Okay, so I commit the changes. Okay, I can write whatever I want here or nothing. Okay, so I go ahead and hit commit changes, and that's going to save my HTML document. Now you'll see here, after this is done, committing, now my repository has a single file in it, index.html. The next file that we'll need is the CSS file. If you look here, the way that Meta is writing this out is that it's putting this in the root folder, okay? So it's putting it directly in the folder style.css. So all we have to do over here is say, add a file, create a new file, and then we name it here styles.css. Okay? Now if I go back over to Meta, I can see here my styles.css file. That's right here. So I just copy this contents to the clipboard, I head back over here and paste it. Okay? This CSS file is the way the web page looks. So the HTML file is the way that the document is structured, has information on it, okay? But it doesn't have that much information about the way it looks. But you saw how whenever I said I want gray background, I want sans serif font, I want to make it look modern and full screen, all this other stuff. That's what's going on here. It's putting all that together. Okay, I want a large font. You see, this is the large font for the hello world. So these are all the rules of what it looks like. Okay, that's what the CSS style does. I'm going to commit these changes, and I go ahead and hit save. Now I have my two files up on my repository. Now what I want to do is host this on the web page, host this on the website. So if I go to settings of my repository, okay, click on settings, and then I go head over to right here, pages. See where it says pages? This gives me GitHub Pages that allows me to host my web page. So I want to deploy from here on the branch called main. So I click here, main. All this stuff actually has terminology and meaning and so forth. But right now, I just want you to focus on the steps. You'll soon enough learn what main and deploying and branches and repositories and forking and pull requests and pushes and pulls and all that stuff means. It has its own terminology. But just right now, focus on the fact that we just had to deploy from main. So make sure, settings, pages, main. Hit save. Now when you hit save, this is going to take a little bit of time, like a good minute. But what's happening now is that your web page is being taken from the developmental servers of GitHub and being posted on the production server of GitHub Pages. And the way I can see that is if I hit code over here, you'll see a little yellow dot. You see this little yellow dot? It says pending. You also see it down here. It'll show up in a second. But if I click on yellow dot right here, you'll see that it's starting to build out. It's checking my code that I have, and then it's going to deploy it onto the production servers. If I go back to my settings pages, you'll see here it's already telling me now where my web page is going to be live. See, your site is live at myuserhandle.github.io/hello. Okay, now if I go into the back to the code, you'll see that now this has a green checkbox, you see, and then you also see here a green. That means it's gone to the internet. So I can go now and check it out. So if I go back to that URL, remember the URL that we had here, and I click on it, guess what? I'm up on the internet. Maybe I didn't do a very good job choosing colors, but here's the hello world, and here's the too light of a gray. So I want to switch this. Maybe I want to make this a dark gray, okay? This is fine. These are easy changes to happen. I go back over to Meta, and I say, oh man, it was too light, the gray background. Can you show me how to make it darker? Okay, now Meta is going to go and tell you, oh look, what you need to change is this code here in the CSS you need to change. Now you can go through and just basically go and copy and paste this whole CSS thing, okay, if you wanted. But if you wanted to be a little bit smarter about it, you can read through here and see that only thing you have to change is this one code, number 333. So if I go back over to my Hello World GitHub and I go into my style sheets here and click on it, you see, this is what I need to change right here. Look at this nice little edit button. I click on the edit this file. This lets me change it directly here. So I just click on edit and I go through here and change this to 333. And if I want, I can change the comment as well to say to dark gray background. Now, if you look back at Meta, it told me that I can use medium, I can use medium gray. It gives me few different options here, right? But we know that we want to use dark gray background, so we just do that one instead. Now we go back over to here and we said, great, we changed that. So we commit our changes. Now, when I commit my change, it's going to start doing that whole thing again of getting the code ready, preparing it for the production server, and pushing on the production server. And you'll see here a yellow dot show up over here. Okay, you see with that pending. If I hit a refresh on this, you might also see here under the deployment, this might show up with a little yellow dot as well sometimes, okay? So once it gets going, you'll see it here, it'll turn yellow. You see? Well, maybe it's not doing it. Well, anyways, if I click on here on the pending, you'll see that it's going through its checks. Some checks haven't gone through, it's queued up, it's waiting to run. But once it runs, we'll see this switch from 3 minutes ago, it will say to now, okay? So if I click here, it's still saying it's updates, you see? It's doing updates right here on this yellow, and then once that's done, it will change that into a green. So that's done. deployed now. Now if I go back to the web page by either clicking here or going on over here and hitting refresh, you'll see that a color, well, the color didn't change. So this might be because my change was so small, it's pulling it from the cache. If this happens to you, just right click here on your refresh button. If I can get my right click to work, it's not working. What you want to do is you want to do a reload of this page that doesn't have the, you see now if I look here, just check this out. You'll see what I mean. If I say view page source, you'll see the code that I'm using. This is still having the old code. You see that? Not good. We want the new code. You see if I refresh, now that's the new code that's being used there. My web page though, it has it stored in the cache, the old code. Now I hit refresh, boom, the new code. So now I have here the dark gray coming in. So sometimes you might have to wait a minute. Sometimes you have to refresh if the changes are so small. But this web page is live. You can go on it yourself. Go to my web page. Set up your web page. Make your web page. Put it in the comment section. I'd like to go check it out. Okay? You can always make changes to this too as well. So imagine I want to make here now a link to my profile. Okay, so I can go over here to my profile, or in this case I want to make a link to the source code. Okay, so here's the source code. I can copy this. I go to Meta AI and say, oh, the site looks great now, but I want to add a link to the source code on GitHub for the user to click on and find. Put the link under the Hello World text. Here is the link. And I paste that link to the repository. Now I'm going to go and send this to Meta AI. And what's going to happen is that it's going to go through and update the code, adding the Hello World and adding a link to say view the source code on GitHub. Pretty nice. Okay, it's updated my index file and it updated my my CSS file. So I have to actually update both of those. So again, same story. Go to index.html here, click on it, click the edit button, go over to Meta AI, hit copy, go over, select everything, paste it, commit the changes. Then go over to your CSS, hit edit, go over to Meta AI, copy the new CSS file, go over, select everything. I can even hit delete if I want. And then just paste it. Just paste over the whole thing. A lot of people are talking about this is like going to be the new way to do coding. It's like kind of like AI. You describe what code you want. Sorry, I think you describe what code you want, and then you let the AI write the code for you, and you kind of coach the AI. I don't know why this is not copying for me. So hit copy, copy to clipboard. Go over here, paste. Okay, there it is. And then you describe the AI what you want to have coded out, and it codes it for you. So I'm going to commit the changes as well over here. So hopefully we don't have any error messages happening. So there's going to be a point you're going to be working and you'll get error messages, trust me. So anyways, now that I made those commitments, I go here to the code, I see my yellow dot, right? Again, you need to wait. You got to wait. And so all this yellow dot stuff has been taken care of, and it's a green checkbox. Now if you go click on here, you get of course some more detailed of what's happening. So it's updated. It's saying it's updated, but I think that we still have the CSS file that we haven't. So here you see now it's updating the CSS file. So update the index already. Now it's moving on to CSS. Once these two things are completely updated, of course those will all turn to green boxes, green check boxes, which it has. And now we can go back to our web page, Hello World, and I hit refresh on it, and look at that. View source code on GitHub. Again, the color, not so good. I could check, and it does take me to GitHub, which is kind of cool. But I can see here the color, I'm not happy with it. I want it to be kind of like maybe back to just being a white color. Okay, so here again, I can go to Meta and say, the color of the link is hard to read. Can you make it white as well? What changes will I need to do? Okay, then I go ahead and coach my meta, and it's going to go through here and of course make a whole brand new CSS for me. So again, if I wanted to be lazy, I could just copy the whole thing and paste it, right? But if I look here, it will tell me this is the only thing I changed. This one little spot here. I changed this to all Fs, which gives me white. Okay, so if I wanted to be a little smart about it and kind of try to learn, this might be the better way of doing it. You can see here it wasn't white before. It was a nice blue-green color for the link. Now if I hit edit, I can come over here and just change this one little spot. Okay, and instead I could just put here a nice white color. Okay, white color for the link. Now I commit the changes. That updates the style sheet, and then now I go over here, I'll see the yellow dot again, and it's the same story. Just wait for the yellow dot to turn into a green checkbox. You can hit the refresh button to see it, but it's pretty predictable. It always takes about 30-45 seconds for it to go through. But once that goes through, when you go to your Hello World, and here I hit refresh, at some point when I hit refresh, I'm hitting refresh a bunch, this will change to white, and you know that the thing went through. Let me see here. Refresh, 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 refresh. Okay. Well, I guess it's taking a little bit longer than I want. You see here, refresh here. Green checkbox. No, it's still pending. So it's still going through everything, right? Here's the little yellow I was telling you earlier about. That it will show up there yellow as well. Okay, so it's done. It went through. Hit refresh. You see, and this is that thing where it's such a small change sometimes that you see if I hit view source, I can go here to the source. I can see my source here like this. Okay, this is what we call the developer pane. This has all of our development stuff, and you can see here this says white now. So normally this should switch over to white, and it's not switching over to white. So it could be that you know what happened? It's staying purple because I've already visited that link before. It's white before I visited. Once I visited, it became purple. This is another, kind of thing. So maybe you might see a white, but I still don't like the way this purple looks over this gray. So you know what I can say? This didn't work out good for me. The link is still purple since I have visited the site. Can it be white no matter what? Okay, because once you click a link, it changes to a different color. Okay, so it's telling me that if I add this rule to my CSS, a visited, then that link now will actually become white. You see here? So, and then here's even one for underlining. That's pretty interesting. So, a hover for underlining. Anyways, if I go here and copy this thing, or I can just copy the whole thing, okay? Go back over, again, same story. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go back and forth, iterate, okay? This is where this coding, it's not like really writing. It's more like almost an engineering aspect, because you make something and then you think about how can I make it better. Once you get the product, you say how I make it better. And you keep going back, iterating over and over and over until you get exactly what you want. And you can see here, just this little project I've been working on now for a few seconds, here it says 7 commits. If I go through here, you can see all the different commits each time I iterated through, you see, and had a different change. Now, this is where I started, and I said, oh, let's do this, let's do that. So I kept on going through and changing things. And that's what's kind of cool about this, is that you can kind of follow projects as they go through and see how development takes place. Now you can see here I still have my yellow dot, so my web page is not quite ready yet, okay? But you can see here it's still updating that CSS, but if I hit refresh soon, this is going to turn into a green checkbox. Now it's ready for me to look at it, and I go check it out. I hit refresh, and I still have a problem. Oh, great. Okay, well, you know, that's interesting to see that it still stays purple. Sometimes you might not get lucky on this one. One thing that you could think about doing is maybe changing it from a link to a button. Maybe that's something you can try out. You know, maybe you'll figure it out better than me. Here's all, you know, keep on trying here. You can say, you know, can I make it a button instead? And what's interesting here is that if you try to do something like a button, I think that it might end up generating some JavaScript. So let's see what it does here. It's going through here with the CSS. It's making here some buttons information, right? And then it's going to give me here now update index.html file that has to have the container for a button. Okay? So, okay, great. So we haven't really gone to JavaScript, but that's good. So let's go ahead and try this out now. Index.html. Let's edit this. Paste it. Commit the changes. Okay. Now we'll go over to CSS. Go over here. Copy the CSS. Edit that. Make the changes. Then it's the waiting game again, where we get our yellow dot, and we see how long it takes it this time to update it. You can see here everything's still getting queued up, so this is from 2 minutes ago. If you look over here, it's still doing the checks, you see? So it hasn't really queued it up, and then once it's queued up, then it goes up to this deploy. So you see now it wants to deploy. If you click on here, you can kind of see what's going on. It'll give you like sometimes you'll see here little code and stuff that will come out here. So you see it's going through. So it completed the job now. So I go back over to my code, go to get my GitHub pages. Let's check out the deployment. Let's refresh. Nice. I like that. I like that. Okay. So the iteration paid off. Look at that. Even has a little bit of visual feedback. Whenever I move my finger on it, it shows it. Did the link work? And the link works. Look at that. So this is starting to look like a really cool web page. Go make a web page. Have some fun with it. Challenge yourself. Maybe put here a picture of something that you want a picture of a globe. Have fun. Just keep messing with it. See what you could do. Talk to the AI. Tell it to coach you through it. Whenever you're happy with it, why not share it on here? Post it in the comment section. I'll check it out and see how it looks, okay? Anyways, I hope this helps you with kind of a start on understanding how to do web page hosting with GitHub. Again, the main thing is about creating a repository. So you go here, just a quick recap. New repository. Once you have the new repository, you want to make new files, okay? And then you can just edit directly here. You don't have to have any fancy IDEs. And then you go over to meta.ai, and you can even use it without logging in, which is kind of cool. And ask it to generate code for you. Generate the code, go back and forth, describe your experience, ask it to make you better stuff until you get to something that you're happy to play around with, okay? Anyways, check out my webpage, sounny.github.io/hello, and tell me what you think about mine.